No change in Ukraine. Nearly 150 combat clashes took place between Russia and Ukraine last night. Putin's troops attacked Ukrainian civilians. Kiev responded with a drone assault on enemy soil, targeting a refinery in Krasnodar Krai. For now, there is no talk of a ceasefire here. We are trying to surprise the enemy with artillery attacks. The situation on the front has not changed. We are trying to move forward meter by meter. In diplomacy, it looks similar. The U.S. negotiators first took a step forward, convincing Ukraine of a ceasefire. And yesterday, they had to back off again.
Thank you.
Donald Trump's envoy to Russia, Steve Witkoff, passed Washington's proposal to Moscow, a ceasefire on a trial basis for 30 days and peace talks with Ukraine. The Kremlin initially rejected the offer. Will the Ukrainians devote these 30 days to mobilize their army, replenish their weapons, and train their soldiers? Moscow has decided that the U.S.-Ukrainian agreement, negotiated in Saudi Jeddah, is too favorable to Kiev. But Donald Trump thinks Putin will come to his senses.
We know where we are with Ukraine, and we are getting good signals outside of Russia as to where we are with Russia. And hopefully they'll do the right thing. It's really humanity. We're talking about humanity. We're not talking about the money. But then you add the money to it, and, you know, hundreds of billions of dollars is being spent and really wasted.
Cautiously optimistic.
For now, we have a stalemate. While it was to be expected that the Kremlin would not immediately accept the Americans' offer, negotiations are ongoing. Certainly, the Russians want more, and Putin will want to escalate, primarily because if the Russians feel the Americans care very much about this, they are willing to exert even more pressure in order to get better terms. The question now is, what should Donald Trump do to get Vladimir Putin to sit down at the negotiating table? There are a lot of possibilities. This is already such hard power. You can act by proxy in Ukraine. That is, strengthen and give more lethal weapons. The Ukrainians will use it in the direct field without hesitation, when this will actually be felt by Putin. And there are also these soft actions, like putting pressure with sanctions. Putin certainly understands the language of force, and on the front, the Americans are again providing the Ukrainians with their weapons and intelligence. This is a priceless advantage. The Ukrainian General Staff estimates that criminal Russia has lost nearly 900,000 soldiers since the war began, but the Ukrainian army is also suffering losses and looks to be withdrawing from the Kursk region. Kiev is clearly declaring that in line with Donald Trump's vision, it wants peace. The question is whether Moscow wants the same. The Russians are already being manipulative about the ceasefire. Putin is preparing to reject it. He's obviously afraid to tell President Trump directly that Moscow wants to continue this war and kill Ukrainians. Everything is based on interests. The Russians don't care what we want. It's hard to say how this will develop. Today, it is absolutely impossible to believe Putin. We can't talk about an agreement when missiles are constantly flying. Saudi Arabia's heir to the throne spoke with Putin today. Perhaps a mediator will again be needed in Washington's negotiations with Moscow, as was the case with Kiev. Donald Trump's goal is a lasting and guaranteed peace in Ukraine, which will protect defenseless civilians. I believe that peace will come to Ukraine. I love Kharkiv very much, and I have not left the city since the first day of the war. A ceasefire would be a good solution. Then people would stop dying. It would be something positive. But countries that have experienced Russian aggression know well that Russia cannot be trusted. Hence in Kiev, people are holding their ground.